So this is literally probably one of the shortest palette rankings that I have. I don't know. I just haven't been buying a lot of eyeshadow palettes lately. And I mean, but I have, but they're on pre-order. I'm waiting for them to come. So I'm just like, okay, let's talk about these palettes before, they get lost in the sauce. But I do have this fun tutorial for you here today. So let's go ahead and jump in. Hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome on back to my channel. So as I just mentioned, we have palette ranking volume 12. Oh yeah, we're here at volume 12, okay? So this is where I go through and I kind of wrap up my final thoughts about these eyeshadow palettes that I've showed you first impressions on and just let you know how I really like them after I spend a little time with them, kind of gotten to know them, know their strengths, their weaknesses, and I report back. But before we get started, let me go ahead and introduce myself. If you are new to this channel, welcome. And if you're oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup, but please just call me Ash or Ashley, and eyeshadow is my jam. So hence eyeshadow palette rankings, okay? So, like I just mentioned, I don't have a lot. I have 3 in this tutorial here at the end after we rank these palettes. And I just want to go ahead and talk to them because I did order some things. Let's see, what do I have coming up? I have Menagerie Sugar Glider. I'm excited, but it hasn't even shipped out yet. And I also have the Indigo ink. I was able to pick that up when that restocked. My Glaminatrix, what is it? The Glaminatrix Blossom. How do I not know? Well, I know I have Nocturnal and Bloom. Nocturnal and Bloom, okay? They are finally shipping, okay? I've been waiting not so patiently for those. Patient, but not so patient, okay? And what else? Oh, I did order the collab with Saint and Sinners. I believe that's what the brand is called. I haven't tried that. So I ordered their new palette, but that's going to be kind of far off. So I figured let's talk about what we have right here because I do have some great palettes. So let's go ahead and start it, okay? So at number 3, we have one of my favorite brands. And I by far like this particular palette way better than the first edition. But it is Belle of the Ball. And this is Pat McGrath Labs in collaboration with Bridgerton, okay? So this palette actually is not bad. I have used it a couple times, unlike the first edition where I didn't really care for it. I felt like that was a one-trick pony. However, I don't really feel the same about this one. I feel like this one does give you a lot more versatility. You're able to create a quite different, well, you can get different looks, unlike the first one. And of course, we have 1, 2, 3. These 3 shades are very, very pretty. Of course, we have this shade right here, which is actually called Forbidden Amour. And, or is it called, is it inverted? Oh crap. Or is it Forever Charmed? It's probably Forever Charmed, this greeny shade. Now, the thing about this palette, like you do have kind of like 2 astral shades in here. These 2 right here, they're very pretty. And then you do have like the light blue. However, I do feel like you can dupe this palette across your Pat McGrath collection. If you have a substantial Pat McGrath collection, you definitely can dupe this. This shade right here is an exact dupe for the shade Gigabyte that we love so much that you can find in Mothership 3, which is Subversive. So if you were like, oh my gosh, this shade is calling to me, and you have Mothership 3, I would say do not buy it. This shade is maybe a tad bit brighter, but I promise you on the eyes, nobody's gonna know the difference, okay? Nobody's gonna know. Now this shade is very beautiful also. Has a lot of reflex, very sparkly, does have like a nice base pigment behind it, so it is opaque. But we kind of get shades like this. I feel like this shade is one of the most unique shades. We don't really have any true, just kind of like light blue aqua shades when it comes to Pat McGrath, unlike, maybe the Blitz Aquamarine that we have in the Nocturnal Nirvana palette. And then this particular matte does pull a lot deeper. I found like the mattes, they're very close, of course, to the first Bridgerton palette. Overall, I do like this palette a lot more. I have reached for it. a couple of times. The performance of the makeup for sure, hands down, is great. Now, I do recommend this particular palette to somebody who wants to kind of try, you know, Pat McGrath, doesn't have, you know, maybe Mothership 3, but loves this shade. Maybe cannot afford to pay $125 for a palette. Not that this palette is any cheaper at $65, but the performance of the makeup is super solid in this palette. Every shade is very beautiful. Now, I know Daphne, and she goes by Daps Makeup. She is quite deeper. She did say that this particular shade did not show up well on her. So if you are of deeper complexion, that could be a concern. But overall, I feel like the makeup, the palette itself performs very well. But however, it's coming in down at the bottom because of the color story. I've just seen this so many times by Pat McGrath that, like I said, you could dupe it a million times over if you have any substantial amount of pieces of her, you know, of her collection that you own. It's just like, it's beautiful, but it's like, at the end of the day, it's still nothing too special. Am I like disappointed I own it? No. Am I like thrilled that I own it? No. But it's just like, it is what it is. It's just one of those things, like, it is what it is, okay? Of course, you don't have the lacquer. I feel like the packaging is really nice. I do like the packaging. I wish that we did have the lacquer, but I just feel like maybe the lacquer is not there because of inflation. You know, inflation is real in these streets, okay? They are making you think about your budget in ways that you haven't thought about it before. And I feel like that might be like some of the same things that's happening with this, because, you know, usually this is lacquer instead of a hard cardboard. And maybe with the collab and using, like, you know, the Netflix plus the Bridgerton, you know, licensing, maybe she just couldn't pull off this, you know, this particular palette with the lacquer at the same price point. Because at the end of the day, like, people are only going to pay so much for a certain thing. So sometimes you do have to cut corners, although that doesn't always make us the happiest. Not to mention, you do have two like straight up astral shades in the palette, and you know, usually these 6-pan palettes, you don't usually have an astral shade. So, and those formulas do cost more money. Overall, I feel like the palette is super solid. But like I said, if you have a big Pat McGrath collection, I don't think you need this. But if you have a smaller collection and you're working your way up and you want to try some different things, I think that this would be a great palette for you. All right, next up we have the Melt Gemini 2 palette. This palette is stinking gorgeous. It is giving what it needs to give. It's giving me like peach and, you know, peach little rolls, and it's giving the grunge at the same time. So I feel like the formula is just impeccable on here, and it's something that we love when it comes to Melt Cosmetics. These matte shades blend so well. Then you also have these deepering matte shades right here, and you can kind of get a wide variety of looks. You only have the two shimmer shades, but these shimmer shades, they're solid when it comes, you know, to Melt, because we all know Melt is not known for the shimmers. Sometimes it's a mixed bag. You don't know what you're going to get. In fact, like, I pulled out Mary Jane on 420 because I was like, oh, I should use it. And I was kind of like in a rush, and I opened the palette and I looked at some of the shimmers and how crumbly, and it takes more time to work with. And I was just like, nope. I don't even remember what I ended up using, but I was like, nah, I'm just gonna pass on this. But this, I don't feel like you get that. I do feel like you get some nice quality looks. And all of these, even though they kind of look similar, you still get a nice range of color. I did find that this shade picked up nice. You get some inner quarter highlights. You can blend out some of the deeper shades. You get depth in this palette. So I really do appreciate this. Now, of course, everybody loves the Gemini palette. And when I picked up this palette, I said I was going to grab the first Gemini. And you know, I love green eyeshadow. There's like no secret around these parts. But I was looking at the palette, and I just think that maybe I'm just becoming a little bit more critical of the palettes I buy, just because, like, you know, I have a large eyeshadow collection. It's no secret. I love eyeshadow, but at the same time, I just couldn't justify paying the money for that palette, even though it was coming back, even though I did not own it previously, even though it was going on during the Sephora VIB sale and I could have used a percentage, even though I found a gift card, so it basically would have been free. But the thing, I feel like by a gift card, I'd rather get something I really want, and spend the money there versus just buying something to have in my collection. So I did not go and get Gemini 1 like I mentioned before. I have a lot of green eyeshadow in my collection. A lot. And then I have a lot of palettes that have pops of green, hence like I have on my eyes now. So for me, I don't feel any type of way about not grabbing that palette. I have smoke sessions. I haven't even opened smoke sessions yet. I mean, I have avocado toast. I have pistachio by BH Cosmetics. I have the Hella palette with Angelica Nyquist and Odin's Eye. I have what really sealed the deal, why I did not buy that, when somebody reminded me, I have the Ace Beauté Tropics palette. So I was just like, you know, and it's still more green shadows after that. So I did not do that. But I'm saying to say that this palette right here is a beautiful palette. I feel like it's giving neutral, it's giving grunge, it's giving, you know, you got all the matte shades, it's giving everyday. You can go ahead and add in your own shimmers. Maybe you got some single shadows that you need to put to use, and you have a beautiful matte setup right here. And I feel like this palette is it's great for like my skin tone or a little bit deeper. Of course, it's going to be more bolder on a person who's fairer, but I feel like this is a good neutral palette if you're like my complexion or a little deeper. Like, it's going to read very beautiful on you. The longevity of this palette was great. It was so easy to create the looks. I've worn this a few times, and like I said, it's just so easy. You just pop it on the eyes and you keep on going. It's a great melt formula. So I really love this, and I'm not even missing the other, you know, his sister, his big sister. And plus you have the greens here. So you're kind of getting like the best of both worlds. So I really, really love this palette. So this is the Melt Gemini 2. All right, and my number one palette, in this palette, is super solid. And this palette was actually gifted to me, but if the palette was not gifted to me, rest assured I was purchasing this palette, because I was set and I was ready to purchase the palette until the brand owner sent me a message like a day before the launch, like, hey girl, I'm sending you this. And I was just like, thank you, Jesus, because if I didn't get this palette, my heart was gonna be hurt, you know, even though I was, you know, I'd be ready for these makeup launches. It'd be serious. It's like buying Jordans or something, you know, it's just so crazy. But the number one palette, and the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes that I do have a tutorial for today, is the Adept Cosmetics times Heather Austin palette. So like I said, it was gifted to me, and this palette is gorgeous. I would really recommend this palette to anybody. So I really love Adept Cosmetics. I feel like she's taking the time to work on her brand. She's a one-woman show. She's not a one-woman show. She does have an employee. I'm pretty sure of that. But like, the palette choices are super solid. Heather did an amazing job with this palette. And sometimes, you know, creators, they just give you what you want, because, you know, you watch your creator because they love a lot of things that you're into. And then when they work on a project, you know, it's just going to translate. When I heard it was going to be her, I was like, oh, this is going to be bomb, because Heather loves eyeshadow just like I do. She loves grungy eyeshadow. She loves bright eyeshadow. She loves sparkly shadow. She's all about the shimmers. I can appreciate that. But this is the gorgeous palette right here. And you have so many fun dual chromes and multi-chromes in this palette, as you can see. And it's just a beautiful story. Now, what I do love most about this palette, I feel like this palette can read pretty neutral. I feel like it has great pops for women of color, like this bronzy color or this color right here. It has some neutral sparkly shades. And then you have like things like this that are like, they're bold pops, but they can kind of play along with the other purple. So you have like everyday, you got going out on the town, and you got those fun looks all mixed in one palette. Palette is super solid. Now the shade Scrubs, I would say that shade, as you can see, it moves around a lot. You can pick it up with a brush, but it moves. It's very fluidy. It's very, like, I wouldn't say mushy, but kind of like mushy. I mean, because it just moves. So that's why you see all those indentations in there. Now, I have worn this shade Scrubs a bit. Now, I do feel like Scrubs comes on very bright. You can get it to be very bright, or you can kind of dull it down. Today, I did not use any glitter glue with it, but I did use my Mayron mixing medium that's in this particular bottle. And I feel like the only thing I would say about this particular shade, like it can go on very bright sometimes. Today, I didn't amp it up very bright, but I feel like sometimes it can, over time when you're wearing it, it can just dull down. Like it might not have always a staying power, and it could be something to the formula why it's so like mushy and everything like that. I feel like everything else kind of has the greatest staying power. You don't have any issue, especially like this particular multi-chrome Austin, the multi-chrome Smith. These are like true multi-chromes where they have a lot of slip, very smooth shades. Sometimes it's almost better to like pick it up with a finger, but you can use all these shades with a brush because Heather does not like to use her fingers. And like, I don't mind, but sometimes using your fingers because you have these natural oils on your finger, no matter how clean you think your hands are, you just have natural oils that come off and they can disrupt the eyeshadows. Not to mention, you know, you can't get your precision on, but this palette is just so beautiful. I love it so much. I have dipped into this palette so many times. The matte setup choices are beautiful. You got some grungy, but that yellow, it plays well with the maroon. That maroon is beautiful. You can either have it dark or you could have it kind of shared out. It goes well with your nice, like more mauve shades like Hey Y'all, the 0603 shade that's right here. You have this fun shade, the shade So Excited. I actually have it on here. So it can be gold or you can kind of like just transform it by putting a different base underneath. Passport is beautiful. Austin is beautiful. And the longevity of this palette is beautiful. This is literally like one of my favorite palettes of 22. It's beautiful. And like I said, if I was not gifted this palette, I was going to purchase it. I have told so many people, like, do not miss out on it. Don't miss. If you're thinking about it, just go ahead and grab it because it was available for pre-order. She left the pre-order open for quite a bit. I'm not sure if it's going to be coming back again, but super solid. Like between this and Amulet New, I'm like, ooh, which one is the favorite? But it's gorgeous. So those are the 3 palettes that I had to talk about right now. Let's go ahead and let's get into tutorial of this eye look. I mean, it's shifty. You see that blue mixed with the green. Y'all will see. I'm here for it. It's so cute. So let's jump into the tutorial and I'll see y'all on the other side. final look. Let me go and jump in with my face details. I think this came out so beautiful. The shift with that blue to the purple to the green. All the Barney vibes that I like. So for my foundation, I went in with my Rare Beauty foundation, and this is in the shade 430W. And I took my concealer by them also, which is in 420 Neutral. And for my highlight, no, actually for my bronzer, I went in with my Vacay bronzer by Mented Beauty. I really like this bronzer, and I've been like enjoying it a little bit more as of lately, you know, trying to use some of my things. And for my blush, I actually have two new products. So I have my Klarity Cosmetic blushes. They came out with like 19 shades. So this is the shade actually in Honey Mustard. So it's giving me that really kind of like goldeny glow. Now here's the thing, when I went in the bathroom to grab something, I looked really yellow. I think with the green and gold eyeshadow with that shift, and then the blush and the highlight and this sweater, it was just pulling out a lot of the yellow in my complexion, and I felt a tad bit jaundiced. So I went in with another blush by them from Klarity, and this is the shade Extra Shot, and I just kind of put it there just to, you know, kind of bring some more warmth, not look so yellow with the skin. And my highlighter, I went in with Solar Sailor. Yes, Solar Sailor from Kaleidos. This is, you know, they have these beautiful highlighters, and to get that. And this one is a little bit more glitter. It's not very, it's more fine glitter, but you do get a lot of sparkle with this highlight, so I do like it. And for my lip, let's see, it's Propa Beauty Prime Time. Okay, I got it. I had put it up. So this is Prime Time by Propa Beauty. So those are my face details. So I know this video was like kind of super short on the palette ranking, but I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial that went along with it, because this look is, it's really pretty. So leave me a comment down below. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be soon. And subscribe to my channel, because you know I would love to have you here in my little makeup family. And you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance. Hey, chair dance. Hey, chair dance. Oh, I almost knocked the lamp over. Chair dance. Chair dance. All right, y'all. Bye. I really almost knocked that lamp over. Good. Ooh.